Everyone knows where to find you when something goes wrong. But where do you take the fear you do not want to spread, the fatigue you cannot explain, or the resentment you are ashamed to admit? Perhaps you are caring for someone in your family. Perhaps you serve in ministry, or you are the dependable friend people trust when life becomes heavy. The late-night call, the repeated request, the quiet decision to keep going. These are only illustrations, but you may recognize the pattern. You answer, you arrange, you listen. You carry what must be carried, while your own heart waits somewhere in the background. And not every caregiver feels the same things. But some know exhaustion. Some live with worry, pain, burden, waiting, or stress. Some love deeply and still feel depleted. If resentment has begun to surface, it does not automatically mean your love has failed. It may be revealing that your limits have been neglected. If fear is present, it may show how much is at stake. If you are weary, your weariness does not cancel your faithfulness. So let us ask gently, but honestly. Who cares for you? Where do you go when your strength runs out? Who hears the truth beneath your steady voice? Have you mistaken being needed for being invulnerable? And have you begun to believe that receiving rest, support, or refuge would mean abandoning someone who depends on you? The person who carries others also needs somewhere safe to be carried. God's refuge is not reserved only for those you serve, it is for you. We will move through Psalms 46 and 91 together, first into honesty, then into shelter, then back towards service shaped by prayer, human help, and healthy limits. The circumstances may not change immediately, but the next demand does not have to meet the same unsupported heart. Psalm 46 speaks not only to the trouble around you, but to the person standing inside it. Psalm 46 answers the question of where honesty can go.
It presents God as refuge, strength, and present help in trouble. Notice where the psalm locates him, not beyond the trouble, after everything is settled, but near in the midst of it. The instability is acknowledged, the danger is not minimized, and within that reality, God is named as refuge. A refuge is shelter, it is protection, it is a safe place in distress. It is not a stage where you must prove that you are calm enough, strong enough, or spiritual enough to enter. Receiving refuge begins when you bring God the burden you actually have, not the strength you feel expected to display. You may provide practical support for many people. You may solve problems, make decisions, and create steadiness when others feel overwhelmed. But being a source of help does not make you the source of life. God remains your source. You can support others without pretending that you are sufficient for everything they need. So what happens first when pressure rises? Do you rush into frantic problem solving? Do you silence your emotions because there seems to be no room for them? Do you wait until every other option is exhausted before turning toward God? Responsible action is not wrong. Planning is not faithlessness. But action was never meant to replace dependence, and composure was never meant to become concealment. Perhaps your prayer today is not polished. Perhaps it is simply, "I am tired," or "I am afraid of what happens next." Perhaps the truth is, "I do not want one more demand." Perhaps you need to say what has been difficult to admit, "I need help." God can be trusted with truths that other people may not know how to hold. He is not shocked by your fatigue. He does not confuse your fear with failure or your need with ingratitude. Honest prayer does not reject the person receiving your care. It refuses to hide the condition of your own soul while you continue loving them.
This is how refuge begins, not with denial, but with nearness. Not with performance, but with truth. You come as you are, and God receives what you have been carrying in secret. Yet refuge is more than a place we enter in a moment of crisis. Psalm 91 will invite us further, from running toward shelter to remaining beneath God's care. Psalm 91 deepens the invitation.
It speaks of dwelling in God's shelter and resting under His covering. This is not a promise that hardship will never reach the caregiver, or that faithful people will never feel afraid, depleted, or uncertain. The poetry gives us a posture, remaining with God while life remains difficult. To dwell is to stay. It is to return. It is to make refuge a practiced location of trust, rather than a phrase remembered only when every other support has failed. Psalm 46 shows us that God is present in trouble. Psalm 91 asks whether we will keep bringing our lives beneath His care. It is possible to say that God is our refuge while carrying every decision alone. It is possible to speak of trust while hiding anger, dismissing limits, and exhausting every inner resource before asking for guidance. So let us examine our habits. Is God the first call of your heart, or the last resort of a weary mind? Do you pause before automatically saying yes? Do you ask what has truly been entrusted to you before assuming the whole burden? You are not only a channel through which care must continually pass, you are a person who may receive. You may receive comfort for your grief, wisdom for your decisions, strength for your weakness, and companionship in what feels lonely. The longing for peace, calm, and rest is not something to be ashamed of. It may be reminding you that care was never meant to flow in only one direction. Take a brief pause now. Let your shoulders loosen, unclench your hands, release the demand to solve the next hour before it arrives.
Bring to mind the burden that feels most present, not every burden, just the one pressing closest. Now imagine placing it within God's shelter. You are not denying it. You are no longer insisting that you must hold it without support. This is strength. Not endless capacity, but dependence that knows how to receive. Not proving that you need nothing, but remaining open to what God provides. Sustainable compassion begins here, beneath His care, where the caregiver is comforted before giving again. And perhaps a concern rises immediately. If I rest here, will I become passive? If I acknowledge my limits, will someone be neglected? That fear deserves a careful answer, because refuge is not abandonment. Receiving care can prepare us to act with greater wisdom, clearer limits, and love that is no longer being consumed by silent depletion. Taking refuge in God does not mean refusing every responsibility. Trusting Him does not mean pretending that no practical response is needed. Refuge is not passivity. It is the place where responsibility is clarified, strength is received, and action is guided. Compassionate service says, "I will faithfully do what love asks of me." Control says, "I must do everything, prevent every difficulty, and secure every outcome." These are not the same. You can remain devoted without claiming unlimited ability. You can participate faithfully without becoming solely responsible for what no one person can govern. Sometimes dependence on God will lead you to act. Sometimes it will lead you to wait. Sometimes it may lead you to ask another person to bring knowledge, strength, time, or care that you do not possess. Asking for appropriate help is not automatically evidence that you have failed. It may be an act of humility, the honest recognition that God's provision can arrive through human companionship, shared responsibility, and another person's skill.
So ask yourself, what is truly mine to carry today? What can wait without causing harm? What requires another person's wisdom or expertise? Where would a clear no be more loving than a resentful yes? These questions do not weaken compassion. They protect it from being distorted by fear, guilt, and exhaustion. There may have been a time when saying yes felt effortless. You could absorb another need, adjust another plan, and keep moving. But then a day came when your body, your temper, or your attention began signaling that the old pattern could not continue. That signal does not have to become a source of shame. It can become an invitation to discernment. When the next demand comes, begin here. Pause. Tell God the truth about what you feel and what you can carry. Ask Him for the next faithful step. Then, when needed, Contact appropriate human support or establish a clear limit. This is not isolation, but shared support. Not indifference, but sustainable presence. Not control, but faithful participation. A boundary can protect love from becoming resentment. Asking for help can keep compassion present. God's refuge returns you to responsibility with guidance and support, not with the same exhausted pattern. So now, let us move into prayer. We will not begin by making bold promises or demanding more strength from ourselves. We will begin by receiving care. We will lay down the identity of the person who must hold everything together, tell God what has been carried and hidden, and allow dependence to speak before commitment does. Let us pray. God, thank you for being near before I find the right words. Thank you for being my shelter when I feel exposed, my strength when my own strength is diminished, and my present help when trouble has not yet passed. Thank you that I do not need a polished explanation to come before you. You already know what I have carried, what I have concealed, and how deeply I need your care. I confess that I am tired.
I confess that I have been afraid. I confess the anger I hide. I confess that I have sometimes served while my heart was running empty. I have continued outwardly while inwardly becoming weary, and I have judged myself for having limits. Receive this truth without disguise. Meet me here not as the person others expect me to be, but as I am before you. I confess that I have sometimes lived as though everything depended on me. I have said yes before praying. I have treated urgency as though it were always an instruction. I have felt ashamed when I needed support, and I have feared that admitting weakness would make my love appear less sincere. Forgive me for confusing devotion with control. My care can be genuine even when my capacity is limited. You know the pressures that may be difficult to explain, demands that return again and again, outcomes that remain uncertain, sleep interrupted, relief delayed, and the loneliness of feeling valued mainly for usefulness. Not every burden belongs to every person, but you know which ones belong to me. You know what has become heavy. You know what I have not said. So I become quiet before you now. I bring you the person, the situation, the decision, or the emotion I have been afraid to name. I do not have to announce it to anyone else. I place it honestly before you. I stand against fear's claim that I must control everything. I resist the lie that asking for help makes me faithless. I reject the shame that keeps me hidden. Fear will not decide what love requires. Shame will not silence my need. Exhaustion will not become the price I pay to prove that I care. God, I release the outcomes that are beyond my authority. I release the demand to prevent every disappointment, answer every question, and hold every consequence. Show me the responsibility that is mine, and give me grace to leave the rest with you. Surrendering control is not surrendering love. I can remain compassionate without claiming power I do not possess.
Shelter me. Hold me. Quiet what is frantic. Meet me in the place where I have no answer. Let me receive before I rise to serve again. I do not have to earn refuge through greater exhaustion. Your care is not a reward for reaching my limit without complaint. It is grace given here and now. And from this surrendered place, make room in me to receive the rest, wisdom, support, and guidance I need. Give me peace within what remains unresolved, not a peace that denies pain or assumes that every condition will change at once, but an inner refuge that keeps fear from ruling me while I wait. When answers are delayed and circumstances remain difficult, let your presence steady me. Give me rest that reaches my body, my mind, and my spirit. Teach me to welcome quiet without guilt and to stop treating weariness as an enemy I must conceal. Let rest become part of faithful dependence, not something I postpone until nothing more is being asked of me. Give me wisdom. Help me discern what is truly urgent and what is merely loud.
Show me the difference between faithful sacrifice and harmful overextension, between patient endurance and avoidance disguised as waiting. When responsibility is mine, strengthen me to meet it. When it is not mine, free me to release it. When I do not know the difference, lead me patiently. Give me courage to seek appropriate help. Bring to mind a trusted person, a family member, a ministry leader, a community resource, or a qualified professional who may be able to share wisdom or care. Keep me from believing that involving others betrays the person who depends on me. Let support become part of the provision I am willing to receive. And when a limit must be spoken, give me clear words. Keep contempt out of my voice. Keep me from apologizing until the boundary disappears. Keep accumulated anger from speaking more harshly than love requires. Help me be truthful, respectful, and steady. Renew my compassion, but do not ask me to erase my grief.
Give me tenderness toward the person receiving care, mercy toward those who are also trying to help, and kindness toward my own limitations. Let compassion be renewed by grace, not extracted from depletion. Help me receive before I rush. Help me pray before I promise. Help me ask before I collapse. Help me rest before resentment speaks for me. I am not the only source of help. I do not have to hide my need. I can love without controlling. I can be faithful without being limitless. Renewed strength is not the power to need nothing. It is the grace to receive, discern, and love faithfully. God, be our refuge in present trouble, as Psalm 46 declares, and our shelter through the continuing journey, as Psalm 91 invites us to remain. Hold every caregiver listening now, the one carrying fear, the one living with anxiety, the one enduring pain, the one waiting, the one burdened, and the one under relentless stress. We do not presume that every circumstance will resolve immediately. We ask for calm within the uncertainty, rest within human limits, wisdom for decisions, support for the lonely, and guidance for what comes next. When the next demand arrives, bring this prayer back to us. Teach us to pause long enough to receive, discern, and respond from refuge. Let renewed compassion rise from your care, with a heart still tender and a life still human. Now the prayer returns with us into ordinary life. The next request may still come. The circumstances may still be unresolved. But you do not have to meet that moment through the old reflex of answering before you have listened, measured, or received. Practice this refuge rhythm. Pause before answering. Pray one honest sentence. Identify the next faithful step. Invite the right support. Pause does not mean indifference. It creates room for wisdom. Your honest sentence may be as simple as, "God, I feel pressured," or "Show me what belongs to me." Then ask, what is the next entrusted step? Not every possible step. Not the entire road, just the part faithfulness is asking you to take now. And if that step requires shared responsibility, invite the person who can help carry it wisely. For example, before accepting another task, you might say, "Let me check what I can carry and respond." Then pray. Consider your actual capacity. Consult anyone who shares responsibility. This is not a formula for every situation. It is one way to make space between a demand and your response. Within the next day, choose one bounded action. You might send a request for help. You might schedule a period of rest, clarify what belongs to you, or communicate a needed limit. Do not turn these options into another list you must complete. Choose one. Faithfulness asks for the next entrusted step, not ownership of the whole road. The goal is not one powerful moment of relief that disappears when pressure returns. The goal is a changed order of dependence, practiced in ordinary moments until refuge becomes familiar. God first, not last. Truth before performance. Shared care rather than silent collapse. One faithful step rather than imagined control of every step.
And if you still feel tired after praying, do not conclude that refuge has failed. God's care is not measured by an instant change in emotion. Sometimes steadiness begins quietly, in a delayed answer, an honest admission, a responsibility shared, or a limit kept without shame. Sustainable compassion is not withdrawal from love, it is care that remains present without consuming your entire identity. You are still a caregiver, but you are also a person being cared for. Carry this confession with you. I will return to service, but I will not leave refuge behind. So let us gather this journey into one closing confession. If you are able, repeat these words slowly. God is my refuge. I may tell the truth. I may receive help. I will take the next faithful step. I will love without pretending to be limitless.
May God bring peace to your mind when fear begins to speak. May He give wisdom for the decisions before you, rest for your body in the ways you need, and courage to welcome honest support into your relationships. May your service be renewed with compassion, not through pressure to become invulnerable, but through grace that keeps teaching you to receive. At the beginning, we asked where the person everyone depends on could take hidden fear, fatigue, and resentment. Now you know where to begin. You may bring them into God's refuge. You may name them without condemnation. You may let prayer, human help, and healthy limits meet you there. Needing shelter does not disqualify you from loving others. Receiving care does not mean you have abandoned them. It protects the possibility that you can remain present without disappearing, serve without claiming endless capacity, and offer compassion without surrendering your whole self. When the next demand comes, return to the rhythm you have practiced. Pause. Pray honestly. Discern what faithfulness asks now. Welcome support where it is needed. And if you desire, share one prayer need with a trusted person or an appropriate community, allowing yourself to be known as well as needed. You do not return as an endless source. You return as someone loved, supported, and guided, still caring, still human, still held within God's refuge.